On February 4th to 11, Emperor Septimius Severus died in Eboracum, modern-day York, England, while preparing for a campaign against the Caledonians. Following his death, the Roman Empire was left under the control of his two sons, Caracalla and Geta, whom he had instructed to make peace. However, their relationship was fraught with tension, leading to a power struggle that culminated in Caracalla orchestrating Geta's assassination later that year. Caracalla then became the sole emperor, known for his subsequent authoritarian rule. On this day in 960, Zhao Kuangyan, a military general of the later Zhou dynasty, declared himself Emperor Taizu of Song, effectively ending the later Zhou and initiating the Song dynasty in China. The Song dynasty is noted for its advancements in technology, culture, and economics, marking a significant period in Chinese history. Emperor Taizu implemented policies to consolidate central power and reduce military influence, laying the foundation for a stable and prosperous era. The 13 Years' War began on February 4, 1454, when the Secret Council of the Prussian Confederation sent a formal act of disobedience to the Grand Master of the Teutonic Knights. This act sparked a conflict between the Prussian Confederation, allied with the Kingdom of Poland, and the Teutonic Order. The war concluded in 1466 with the Second Peace of Thorn, resulting in significant territorial and political changes in the region. On February 4, 1555, John Rogers was burned at the stake, becoming the first English Protestant martyr under the reign of Mary I of England. Rogers had been involved in the translation of the Bible into English and was condemned for his religious beliefs during a period of intense persecution against Protestants. His execution marked the beginning of the Marian persecutions, during which many Protestants were martyred. In Edo, now Tokyo, on this day in 1703, all but one of the 47 Ronin committed seppuku, ritual suicide, as recompense for avenging their master's death. Their act of loyalty and sacrifice has become a legendary tale in Japanese culture, symbolizing the samurai code of honor, Bushido. The story of the 47 Ronin has been retold in numerous plays, books, and films, reflecting its enduring significance in Japanese history. On February 4, 1789, George Washington was unanimously elected as the first President of the United States by the U.S. Electoral College. His leadership was instrumental in the founding of the nation, and he set many precedents for the executive office. Washington's presidency laid the foundation for the United States government and its democratic principles. The French legislature abolished slavery throughout all territories of the French First Republic on this day in 1794. However, slavery was later re-established in the French West Indies in 1802 under Napoleon Bonaparte. The initial abolition was a significant moment in the history of human rights, reflecting the revolutionary ideals of liberty and equality. On February 4, 1801, John Marshall was sworn in as Chief Justice of the United States. His tenure significantly shaped American constitutional law and the role of the Supreme Court. Marshall's decisions established the principles of judicial review and reinforced the balance of powers among the branches of government. During the Napoleonic Wars, on this day in 1810, Britain seized the island of Guadeloupe from France. The capture of this strategic Caribbean island was part of the broader conflict between Britain and Napoleonic France, impacting colonial holdings and trade routes. The Chilean Navy, under the command of Lord Cochrane, completed the two-day-long capture of Valdivia on February 4, 1820, with just 300 men and 2 ships. This daring operation was a significant victory in the Chilean War of Independence, demonstrating strategic ingenuity and contributing to the liberation efforts in South America. On February 4, 1846, the first group of Mormon pioneers began their exodus from Nauvoo, Illinois, heading westward toward the Salt Lake Valley. Facing religious persecution, the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, led by Brigham Young, embarked on a challenging journey across the American frontier. Their migration led to the establishment of Salt Lake City and significantly influenced the westward expansion of the United States. In 1859, the Codex Sinaiticus, one of the oldest known manuscripts of the Christian Bible, was discovered at the monastery of St. Catherine in the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. The manuscript, written in Greek, dates back to the 4th century and contains a complete copy of the New Testament, as well as parts of the Old Testament. Its discovery has been pivotal in biblical scholarship, providing insights into the early text of the Bible. On February 4, 1861, delegates from 6 seceded U.S. states, South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and Louisiana, convened in Montgomery, Alabama. This meeting initiated the process that led to the formation of the Confederate States of America on February 8, 1861. The establishment of the Confederacy was a central event leading up to the American Civil War, as it formalized the division between the seceding states and the Union. The Philippine-American War began on February 4, 1899, when hostilities erupted between Filipino and American forces near Manila. The conflict arose from tensions following the Spanish-American War, as Filipino revolutionaries sought independence rather than a change in colonial rulers. The war resulted in significant casualties and had lasting impacts on Philippine society and its relationship with the United States. On this day in 1932, during the early stages of the Second Sino-Japanese War, Japanese forces captured Harbin, a major city in Manchuria. The fall of Harbin marked a significant advancement for Japan in its campaign to control Manchuria, leading to the establishment of the puppet state of Manchukuo. This event contributed to escalating tensions in East Asia preceding World War II. The United Service Organizations, USO, was established on February 4, 1941, in response to a request from President Franklin D. Roosevelt to provide morale and recreational services to U.S. military personnel. The USO became renowned for its live entertainment shows, featuring celebrities who volunteered to perform for troops stationed overseas. The organization's efforts have been instrumental in supporting service members during times of conflict. On February 4, 1945, during the final stages of World War II, the Yalta Conference commenced at the Livadia Palace in Crimea. The Big Three Allied leaders, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin, met to discuss Europe's post-war reorganization. Decisions made at Yalta had profound implications for the geopolitical landscape of the post-war world. Ceylon, now known as Sri Lanka, gained independence from British rule on February 4, 1948. Becoming a self-governing dominion within the British Commonwealth, Ceylon's independence marked the culmination of a peaceful transition of power. The event is celebrated annually as Independence Day in Sri Lanka. The Angolan War of Independence commenced on February 4, 1961, as Angolan nationalists initiated an uprising against Portuguese colonial rule. The conflict was part of the larger Portuguese colonial war and involved various liberation movements. The war continued until 1974, eventually leading to Angola's independence in 1975. On February 4, 1967, NASA launched Lunar Orbiter 3 from Cape Canaveral's Launch Complex 13. This mission was part of the Lunar Orbiter program, aimed at mapping the Moon's surface to identify potential landing sites for the upcoming Surveyor and Apollo missions. Lunar Orbiter 3 successfully transmitted high-resolution images, significantly contributing to the planning of crewed lunar landings. On this day in 1974, Patricia Hearst, the 19-year-old granddaughter of publishing magnate William Randolph Hearst, was kidnapped from her apartment in Berkeley, California, by the Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA, a left-wing urban guerrilla group. The kidnapping and subsequent events, including Hearst's apparent collaboration with her captors, garnered widespread media attention and raised questions about coercion and personal agency. On February 4, 1977, a tragic accident occurred on the Chicago Transit Authority's elevated train system. A train collided with the rear of another and derailed, resulting in 11 fatalities and injuring 180 people. This incident remains the worst accident in the history of Chicago's transit system and led to significant safety reforms. On this day in 1992, Lieutenant Colonel Hugo Chávez led a coup d'état against Venezuelan President Carlos Andrés Pérez. The coup attempt failed, and Chávez was imprisoned. However, this event brought Chávez into the national spotlight, eventually leading to his election as president in 1998. On February 4, 2000, the Charter of Paris Against Cancer was signed by French President Jacques Chirac and UNESCO Director General Koichiro Matsuura during the World Summit Against Cancer for the New Millennium. This initiative led to the establishment of World Cancer Day, observed annually on February 4th, to raise awareness and promote cancer prevention, detection, and treatment. On this day in 2003, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia adopted a new constitution, transforming into a loose confederation known as the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. This change aimed to address internal political tensions and set the stage for future independence movements within the constituent republics. On February 4, 2004, Mark Zuckerberg, along with co-founders Eduardo Saverin, Andrew McCollum, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes, launched Facebook from their Harvard University dormitory. Initially designed as a social networking platform for Harvard students, Facebook rapidly expanded to other universities and eventually to the general public, becoming one of the world's largest social media platforms. On this day in 2020, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, authorities in Macau ordered the closure of all casinos for 15 days to prevent the spread of the virus. This unprecedented move had significant economic implications, as Macau's economy is heavily reliant on the gaming industry.